All right, we are now joined by one of my teammates at NFL Network, Michael Irvin. You can follow him on Twitter at Michael Irvin88. Michael, we know you are so busy this offseason, especially as we troubleshoot not only the Skypes, the Zooms, the live TVUs that we're using in TV, but how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, blessed. And it's so funny, Jane. I was on just the other day with Dana White because they're doing the fights coming up this weekend. And I said to him the same thing I said to Roger. Thank you guys for being strong through it all. I know our health is most important, but people have to understand we have physical health, but we have emotional and mental health too. And what we need are live situations to help get through those situations, the motivation, the inspiration. We'll have UFC fights that we'll see somebody fight through something that helps us fight through what we're going through. We had the NFL draft. We see dreams come true. That reminds us we all have dreams too. So the mental side help with the physical side. That's why I lament those guys and I commend those guys for going forward to give us something to inspire us.
Well, I think of you because this is that typical that time of year where you thrive. People feed so much off of your energy. I know you feed off of their energy. What did you think of that ESPN duopoly? I had a lot of fun watching you guys do that together.
Yeah, it was everywhere. It was everywhere. And it was funny because it's going into it because, Jane, like especially in the off seasons for me, the off seasons for me is about traveling and about speaking and all of that, trying to inspire people, motivate people. And I thought when we talked about doing a virtual draft, like, oh my God, we're going to miss so many of the stories that are being shared. It's not just about how that kid and his skill set fit with this team and their philosophy. It's also you learn the backdrops, you learn the journeys, you learn the struggles that people have gone through to get to this point. Though we missed some of that because we were not able to put our hands on and touch and come in the studio and interview people like we usually do. We missed some of that. I thought we got some of it also by going into everybody's homes to see at their homes to see some of the moms and the girlfriends and the mom like, I'm the one carried this joker for 9 months. I'm the one birthed and fed this joker. Get off him, girlfriend. That money's coming to me. That's what you were seeing. And I was like, this is great, but I don't know if all of us African Americans want America in our homes like this and seeing that like that. It was some funny stuff. It was great stuff for social media and fun stuff like that.
I love you so much. What did you think of CeeDee Lamb's situational awareness? Now, they came out and said his agent was FaceTiming him. I felt bad for his girl, Crimson Rose. But you got to love that it was the Cowboys and it happened like that.
Right. And that's what I tried to share with him. I said, hey, whatever you see, just magnify it by 20. And now you understand what it is with the Dallas Cowboys. Well, most people, maybe that's nothing. But now that you're a Cowboy, that's everything. Because everything. If you're, I said to him this, Jane, come to think about it. I said, listen, man, understand this. I hear the rhetoric that people push out their mouth, but it's not reality. When you hear people say, well, you fell to 17. I said, man, listen, you don't fall to the Cowboys. God places you on the Cowboys. I said, this is a blessing that you have no idea about. If you really want to make your mark, I said, trust me, lose a little on the front end. I did. Lose a little on the front end, but you'll make it all up on the back end if you come and produce and have a great career. I had an opportunity to get drafted 7th or something by Green Bay. Did not want to go there. Wanted to come to Dallas, So I said to him, I said, Tim, Brown, Sterling, Sharp, all went before me. They didn't go to Dallas. You do not fall to Dallas. You are placed in Dallas, and take this placing as a great blessing because it will be one of the most incredible careers and one of the most incredible experiences you ever had.
Well, and, we talk about falling to 17. There was a linchpin of your 90s dynasties that fell to 17 because that's what Emmett did. And a lot of people talk
Yes.
about Emmett falling to 17 to the Cowboys, and they wanted James Francis. They didn't even want Emmett, but I think that turned out all right. So that'll probably be the case for CeeDee Lamb. And now when you look at the Cowboys as compared to the end of last year to where they're at now, and they've lost a lot of guys, they've had a lot of turnover, they've brought in some others. They're really hoping maybe Alden Smith can come back, as well as Randy Gregory, and they draft CeeDee Lamb and Trayvon Diggs. Do you think they are, at this moment, a better team than they ended the season, or have they still not replaced everything that they've lost?
Well, to say better, I like the direction. And I like the possibility of them being better because of this. When you went into this offseason, we knew there were a lot of holes that need to be filled on defense, and we lost some major components of that defense. You lost Robert Quinn to Chicago. You lost Byron Jones to Miami. We're still wondering about some defensive linemen that we need up front and in the middle. So you said we got all of these holes to fill on defense to make this defense better than it was last year. And can we fill those holes, and can we make them better? That is something that we don't know, and we won't know until we actually get on the football field. So you can say, do we try to plug in all of these holes, or do we take this offense to another stratosphere? And that helps the defense as we fill in these holes and give them an opportunity to gel together. Picking CeeDee Lamb, and I know I talked to the Cowboys. Jane, I know you talked to everybody over there. They really wanted to go defensive on that first pick. They told me, they said, Michael, we're looking to shore up our secondary. We're certainly looking to get some more pressure from the defensive line. But they told me before the draft, but if our top guy on the board is there at 17, we will have to look at it. Their top guy was CeeDee Lamb. They told me that going into the draft. He was there. They took him. I liked it because I say to people, if I can put up 35, 40 points every game, and now they have the ability to do what they were doing at the beginning of last year, all year long with CeeDee Lamb, you're putting up 35, 40 points. That is helping the defense. That's helping the defense have to go up against a one-dimensional offense that's trying to play catch-up, and that gives you a better chance at winning games because you took an offense to another level instead of trying to take one off season and fill all those holes on defense.
To steal one of your cliches, there were a couple of oh my God moments by Jerry Jones this offseason. We'll start with number one, anointing CeeDee Lamb his new 88. When we've all been talking about the possibility of Dez possibly getting another look from the Cowboys, and Jerry on draft night saying that he wanted CeeDee to wear that 88 because his friend in college at Arkansas wore it and passed away. We had Drew Pearson on this show ahead of you, and he talked about what comes with the 88 Club and him having a conversation with you about what that meant. What did you think about that?
Well, first, Jane, I try to reach out to all the young guys that are coming in. I called Jerry Judy and all those things. And I was getting ready to call CeeDee. He called me, which I'm impressed whenever you get a young man calling and seeking and searching for knowledge and understanding. He said, I know you may have heard what I said about wearing 88 because he wanted to wear number 10. And I said, no. I said, hey, man, I had no issue with that. I told him, the best thing for you to do is to do whatever brings the dog out of you each and every crack of dawn. For me, seeing that number 88, walking in the stadium, seeing all those guys on the Ring of Honor that built the star to what it was, I wanted to have that in front of me to make sure I remember who I am honoring by stepping on that field. It wasn't just about, I'm going to make some money. No, it's about honoring the guys that have gone before me and made the Cowboys what it is. It's the same thing I always tell the guys when I'm speaking to them in Miami. This is not you. We came before you and built this. And it's in your hands. Don't you mess it up. So Drew put the 88 in my hands, the Cowboys in my hands. So it was up to me not to mess it up. And that pushed me. That made me go every day. I said, you do whatever makes you go. And he said, well, I appreciate that, Michael. I want to make my own mark. Go make your own mark. But Jane, I said to him this. That man you talking about that drafted you, Jerry Jones, He don't become a billionaire without being very persuasive and convincing. He usually gets his way. So then a couple of days later when it came back out, oh, he is wearing 88, I called him and said, so you ran into that fella I was talking about. I'll let him tell the story about him and Jerry. But you know, I also told him this. I said, listen, man, this is a great opportunity. There's going to be so much so many things expected from you when you put this number on your back. You know, go out and play hard, do what you have to do, you know, to become the greatest you want to be. And between me, you also said, think about it this way. Honestly, buddy, Jerry wants to win another Super Bowl before God calls him out of time to eternity. One day, that whole family, it'll be Steven and Charlotte, they'll be getting ready to write you a check for maybe $150 to $200 million. It'll make it a lot easier for them to write that check if they say he put that 88 on his back and gave our dad his last wish and got us to a Super Bowl. Trust me, they will stroke that pen happily. He said, you know what, Playmaker? Thanks for saying that, buddy. I got it. You know what I'm saying? So give a little now. You'll get a lot later. It'll all work out.
You know, it is fascinating because I've talked to Des recently, and even he said, you know, look, he gets it. And if anything, he wants to help him market that brand. That, you know, 88 was a number, and there was obviously history with it, but 88 also took on a life of its own because of the branding in this new era and how you promote yourself. So I thought that was cool of Des, but the other thing I wanted to talk
I heard, too, that Des is not getting the opportunity. I heard, too, let me tell you something, too, because, Jane, you know, you don't see that kind of connectivity and love from a player to an organization like that. You know, people ask about Des all the time, and I was like, man, I can't believe it. There's, you know, the pain of not of being released by the Cowboys is really what stopped him from going to any other team. Mm-hmm. He just held out hope that he was coming back to Dallas, and I was like, man, you know, Jane, like I know, the Baltimore, Cleveland teams were calling me saying Des won't even come and visit. He didn't want to come and visit. He was hoping to get back to the Cowboys. You can't replace that kind of love, that kind of commitment to an organization. So it hurt me that killed his last opportunity to get back on the field, or so perceived. You never know what will happen with injuries or anything like that. But now you got three receivers and you got Blake Jarwin. So that put Dez basically in the fifth position to catch a ball. And that's a long fall in the same helmet that you wore when you were number one.
I don't think it's going to happen with Dallas, but I think Dez is finally at peace with that. You know, I will tell you that there are teams that are still interested. I think what's holding him back right now is the fact they can't get him in the building for the medicals. And I've talked to teams. They can't get him in for the medicals, and they can't see him up close and personal right now. So there might be some movement, but I think the one thing with Dez is at least his head's in a different place. But I know you look at Dez sort of the same way I do, and I sort of commend him for the fact that he's still grinding it and going after it. And you can't knock a guy for trying. Right. But, yeah, to your point, it is unfortunate that that thing played out the way it did. All right, so let's talk real quick, and then I'll let Bobby drop in here. The other oh, my God moment, Andy Dalton falling to the Cowboys. You talk about falling versus placed. The pandemic sort of placed him with the Cowboys. What did you think of that move? And as I've been reporting, and I know you talked to a lot of people in the Cowboys organization too, I'm being told right now he is an insurance policy, that Dak is still their franchise guy. But how does this affect leverage for Dak at this point?
Well, I don't think it affects leverage for Dak at all. There's no way Jerry's putting this kind of resource, this kind of investment into an offense that he's going to turn over to Andy Dalton. And we don't even know how many good years Andy Dalton has left when he's stacked great young talent that can grow together for a while. You can have a hell of an offense running together for a while. You just locked up Zeke. You're about to lock up Dak. You just locked up Amari. You have two fantastic young receivers in Gallup and CeeDee Lamb. There's no way you locked up Blake Jarwin. There's no way you turn that over to a guy that's as late in his career as Andy Dalton. You want that thing to simmer with the Dak Prescott and grow. We're not just talking about having success now. You're talking about having success later also, and that's exactly what you'll get. Now, that being said, it is, in some sense, it is a great insurance policy, not in the sense of a policy that ensures if Dak doesn't sign, you're good, but in a sense of a policy that says if Dak is not totally healthy, you're good. You cannot tell me, in all of my years of playing ball and having all kinds of shoulder dings and hits on my shoulder, that in week 17 of last year against the Philadelphia Eagles, that maybe if you had Andy Dalton, Dak Prescott could have set that game because he had that shoulder injury. And nobody talked about how that must have affected his game. You can't throw all week and you're going to go into a game. So maybe if you have an Andy Dalton, you can place him in and still win that game and give Dak Prescott back his job the next week going into the playoffs, give him a little more time to get healthy, to play that game a little bit better. That's the kind of insurance policy I think Andy Dalton brings. Andy Dalton can win you a game or two in spot duties here and there. I don't think he'll make a run and get you deep into a playoffs or into a Super Bowl.
So I likened it a little bit to a Teddy Bridgewater signing. Is that fair?
That's too far. That's too far. That's too far. Because Teddy Bridgewater gave you some upside. Had something catastrophic happen to Drew Brees, man, you move right on to Teddy Bridgewater and keep it moving. You see what I mean? You just say, hey, okay, we sorry, Drew Brees. We thank you for the great career. Teddy Bridgewater, we're going to extend your deal, and now you are our guy of the future. You know, so they had some now and some later with Teddy Bridgewater, if they wanted it. The Cowboys only have a now with Andy Dalton. There is no later. You know what I'm saying? Period.
I just didn't realize what a beehive Andy Dalton had. I mean, lately, people are coming out of the woodwork saying, well, Andy Dalton hasn't had these sort of weapons. Look what he could do here. People are ready to move on from Dak. And I'm like, guys,
but that's what people do. That's what people do. That's what they do because, you know, they get the fighting for the organization. And I don't care who it is. They fight against the player. Let's be real. That's why I got to give some credit to Carolina and what they did. You know, Carolina knew, okay, do we put McCaffrey through this washer? Do we make him have to force our hand when we know we're going to have to do something and get him in? Or do we go ahead and step up and do the deal so we don't make the fan base mad at McCaffrey when now he's becoming the face of our franchise because we no longer have Cam Newton or Luke Kuechly. So they stepped up and made the deal so they didn't have to go through that fighting that made the fan base mad at the face of their franchise. That's where I do not applaud the Dallas Cowboys for making the fan base mad at the face of the franchise, who is Dak Prescott right now.
And to that point, I don't know that it's the Andy Dalton hive as much as the Romo hive that still has never accepted Dak, that small little group. I think they just lent their support to throw it to Andy Dalton this week. I don't think that was Andy's hive. I think that was Romo's and the anti-Dak hive.
They're still waiting to get any shot they can at Dak Prescott.
They are. That's always. I remember the Giants game his rookie year where he had been 12 weeks of pretty much perfect, and then they lost that Giants game, and I was like, I'm staying off social media tonight because Romo lovers have about 12 weeks built up that they've been waiting to release, and now they get the chance. I know that you know the organization really intimately, you know, people from staff all the way down to players, you know, a lot of folks there. And one of the things we heard after the season was, you know, maybe there was a lack of leadership at times, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. And I know Mike Garafolo, that was one thing he reported near the end of the year, is that he was hearing that was maybe the disconnect between their talent versus the results, as they were hearing maybe there wasn't the right accountability all the time with some of the guys on defense. We already talked about have they improved the roster. Do you think, I guess two-part, do you think that was the issue last year? There may have been some leadership or some accountability issues in the locker room, and that was why there were issues on the field. And do you think that's been rectified? Do you think that there are the leaders in that locker room right now to move forward and be successful in 2020?
When you ask now, and just extrapolate from things that have happened, not being in the locker room, when somebody says there's a leadership issue and they point it to the defense, I can extrapolate and say, oh, yeah, there had to be something there. Let me tell you what. Michael Bennett he had just got here, just got a pair of slippers and a cup of coffee. And he was the one jumping up in the locker room, making statements or trying to galvanize the defense. You just got your slippers and a cup of coffee. You just got here. Do you know what that would have been like? I could have said, say we're in the locker room and somebody had just gotten here and they try to step up. Charles Haley would say, sit your ass down. I got this. You know what I'm saying? We've been here and this is not acceptable. So to that, you try to extrapolate and say, now, whoa, why did it fall on the guy that just got here to step up and say stuff? Why is he that comfortable stepping up and saying stuff? So obviously he didn't see a clear head on that defense that's leading in some way that made him kind of shy away from stepping up. I say if Charles Haley or some of those guys, Ken Norton was in that locker room, the Deion Sanders, no way that guy, the Michael Bennett, and I love Michael Bennett, would have stepped up. So absolutely, I think there's some issues there. Now, that's a lot about personality too. When teams start gelling together, it's a lot about personality. It's a lot about how we spent any time together talking about where we're trying to go, and then those things show up on a football field. It's like, okay, if you are a leader of a football team, then I can't spend a whole offseason not seeing you. I need the leaders. I need to see them out here working the hardest. I need to know that how much this matters to them. I can't have my leader not talk to me all offseason and come to me in the fourth quarter saying, let's go. Because first of all, he's probably making more money. He's making $3 million. I'm making $600,000. And he comes to my face, let's go, you got to give me the ball. I'm saying, get out of my face. You're the one making all the money. Go win the game. Unless you spend time with me in the offseason, you're building those rapports and that relationship, then you can talk to me. So absolutely, I believe there was a deficit in that direction with the Dallas Cowboys that I hope they fixed.
All right, before we let you go, because your era of Dallas Cowboys football was my favorite because there were so many dynamic personalities, the work ethic, the approach to what you guys do. You and I had the opportunity to sit down and talk for a Thusio event in front of a group, and I learned so much about you, and I did one to Marcus Ware and found out some amazing stuff about him. One of my favorite stories is when you shipped your son off. When he was talking about living that life and wanting to play ball. I think the fans will love this because I think it speaks to who you are, because for all your success and how lighthearted your teammates talked about you both on and off the field, you put in the work and you tried to instill that in your kids. So if you could share the story of shipping your own son off.
Well, it's just like, I talk with my son and I ask, my son was here in Dallas and he played at Prestonwood High School in Dallas, and he was doing some good things. He was catching a lot of passes. I think he set the record for most passes in a game, like 22 passes in a game and all of that. And so I put him aside. I said, son, what is it you want to do in life? He said, Dad, what are you talking about? I said, well, what do you want to do? He said, I want to play in the NFL. I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, okay. I said, I'll tell you what, go to your room and pack a bag. He said, what do you mean? I said, go to the room, pack a bag. He said, why? I said, you got to get out. So what do you mean? I said, son, listen. I said, playing in the NFL is not about a skill set. Everybody can run, everybody can jump, everybody can catch. It comes down to matching the hunger of the dude across from you. You got to match that hunger each and every play, each and every day. I said, how can you match the hunger of those guys when they're playing for a life? They're playing to live in a house, to get a house, and you're living in this 20,000 square foot mansion. I said, go pack your bags, and you got to get out. I sent him to live with my nephew in Florida, who's probably the top trainer in Florida. And it was so funny because, they live in this little, small little apartment house. And he called me the first day. He said, Dad, they have this TV with this big old thing on the back. I said, yeah, that's a regular TV. He said, you got grip pliers. I got to turn it with the pliers. I said, yes. I said, that's how. Now you are preparing yourself for life in the NFL. When he was here, I would come home. Man, he had girls all out out by the pool, all laying out by the hot tub. They had them all up in the theater watching movies. I said, what the hell is this? You know how hard I had to work to get this? You can't have it now and expect to reach your full potential. I said, do you ever let anybody come by the house in Florida? He said, no, come on, Dad, nobody's come. I'm not letting anybody come by here. I said, now you're working on a career. Because now you don't want people to see you live like that, so you'll work hard to make sure you get your own. Now things are right. My bishop and I always talk about this. You know, we love our kids as well as we should, but sometimes we always want to give them better than we had. And sometimes the best thing we can give them, Jane, is our struggle, because that's what made us who we are, and we are keeping that away from them. So I wanted to make sure best I can I could give him my struggle.
Now, let's be honest, though, Michael. You're not going to make that granddaughter of yours struggle. I see she's got you just wrapped around your little finger.
That's different.
Girls are different. I see, and
that's different. That is totally different, buddy.
I'm sitting here. I'm taking my notes for my own teenage son, so I know ship him off. Michael Irvin, ship him.
That's good. What I told my girls? I told my boy. I said, listen, man. I told my boys, I said, when you guys leave, Michael has never come back home. I shipped him off when he was in the 10th grade, and I swear, he has never come. He doesn't even come home to visit. You know, we have to force him to come home. So that's great. I say it's working. You know, it's working. But I told my boys, I said, once I ship you out, don't come back. I'm taking one of those cement guns, and I'm filling your room in. It's gone. It's gone. My girls, baby, your room will always be.
Girls never leave.
Don't you worry.
The girls are never. Yeah.
Right. You always got a room. You always got a pot of gold in my rainbow. I got you some money sitting aside. I would never let any dude tell you got to do this, and this, or he ain't paying you. You come on home. Daddy got you, baby. You ain't got to let no dude force you nothing. Daddy gonna take care of his girls forever. That's just what that is.
I've missed you, Michael. This social distancing, us not doing TV together has been tough. I appreciate you doing this Zoom with us and jumping on the podcast. We know you're a busy man. We've got schedule release this week. Thank you for joining the show.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. Thanks for having fun.